castle's kingside, you say castle's short and castle's long, which is a problem because in this position is the perfect illustration. So in Russian, you would say castle short. What would that mean? Of course, king comes to d1, rook comes to c1. No! Castle short means king comes to g1 and rook comes to f1. That's the same as castle's kingside. In this case, castle short is longer than castle's long. So I'm going to provide complimentary Advils to everybody. But I think it's better just to
Buyers, we're in Germany, you know. Buyers.
Castles to the east, castles to the west, but now both castles was in the same direction.
I mean, I think this position, I couldn't have asked for a better one to kick off the tournament because it almost feels like we're bound to have a bloodbath. I do want to take a moment, though. As I mentioned earlier, we are going to have 2 different streams running. This stream that you guys are hearing right now, of course, the community stream, but Judith and Peter as well over on the pro stream. So we're going to take a brief moment to separate those streams. And if you're interested in hearing the insights of Judith and Peter, you can go find that pro stream before coming back to us. It looks like we're already diving into some moves.
We are live. It would have been nice to know. You know, the screen told us, and we have d4, d5, boys and girls. We've got a queen's pawn opening, except it's a rook's pawn opening. That's what we have on the board.
Well, and immediately, I think this is interesting just based on the comment that I talked about earlier from Levon Aronian, where one of the things that he's definitely looking for first is how symmetry plays out in any position, right? And so immediately, you know, we have that symmetry met with the initial pawns, but I'm looking for where that symmetry might break for the first time in this game.
I'm looking for a board. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm looking for... I hope we get that one soon. We do see Hikaru now spending 30 seconds of an allotted 10 minutes on the second move, guys. Do we like that? Maybe, like, it's rapid. You know, you can't really spend all that much time, but the move e2 to e4 is coming, and it's going to give some queen's pawn, you know, like Jabava London vibes. I know we've got a Jabava London expert here. Daniel, I'll let you take it away.
I prefer bishop c1 to f4, but bishop e1 to g3. It's even hard to say some of these things. It'll do, and I think that it's definitely... I mean, you see a lot of the minor pieces competing for the same squares. There's just, you know, it's a studio apartment over on the king side, and you got 1 chair and 1 desk. I think the bishop's going to take g3 over the knight.
But that's the thing about this format, right? In freestyle, you've got the pieces shuffled up and rearranged at the start, but the principles, the general principles of the game still remain, where you still want to capture the center. You want to look for ways of opening up those diagonals and those lines. And that last move by Hikaru, a very strange move, because usually the king for me, it does not arrive on b5. It does stop the immediate idea of the e-pawn advancing.
Prophylaxis.
And one of our boards might be connected to the game review, but that move was already given a huge question mark by the game review feature. Maybe because the bishop will be a target, but I have no idea why. It's rare you get a question mark on move 2.
Well, there you have it, targeted by that pawn over there on a4. Just slides the bishop back for safety. Onus back on Magnus. I think the time conversation is interesting. Obviously, Hikaru is not a player who's uncomfortable with low time, right? Definitely a player that's happy to play fast. But I think we go back to kind of Peter's comment on the couch from the beginning of the day, how much he feels those initial few moves can be in terms of importance. And so perhaps spending the right amount of time, while yes, landing on a question mark of a move there on the bishop, trying to make sure that he's setting himself up for success as quickly as possible.
And it's clear both sides have survived and are likely to survive the opening few stages, but it's just about how much of an advantage you can obtain. And I have trained a little bit with Magnus in freestyle chess, and he likes to kind of surprise his opponents by not castling, by doing something a bit odd, by maybe castling the long side as late as possible in the game. So I think he's going to be very happy now. Just the fact that he's opened up 1 rook on the edge of the board on that left side, and now bringing his knights towards the center. But yeah, early days, of course.
It's interesting, yeah. Like now you see the next few moves. Just so everybody understands at home, also, Black's light squared bishop went to where it is so that Magnus cannot move his center pawn, right? Like if White could move the center pawn 2 squares to the traditional e4 with d4, get the knights and the bishops all toward the middle, White would have a great position. Hikaru's just going, well, dare I say, freestyle mode. And he's like, I'm developing this bishop to an obscure diagonal, and it's actually kind of annoying for White. Like, I don't exactly know how White untangles here. Will he push his g-pawn and move his light squared bishop the other way? Is that an idea?
It's possible, and I think, Daniel, you were about to highlight an idea of freeing the e-pawn, maybe planting a knight in the center.
Of course, in my unskilled perception, the knight and the bishop would compete for territory, but it's like when you watch someone do something, and you think it's simple, and you try to do it, and, I mean, it doesn't work. I have some examples of that, but I think the knight might be crossing the bishop and going around to d3 and potentially hunting for the bishop on a6, and then the bishop can safely come out to g3, and then Magnus has a way of making moves that look like illegal moves because pieces reach the perfect square so quickly you think that they flew there, probably on Lufthansa.
And knight to d3 protected by the rook essentially frees up that pawn to finally push, right?
Yeah, exactly. And actually, if white's rook in the middle of the board ever moves up, then you can start thinking long term, at least, of the white king going the other way. Kind of, you switch the switch the focus. Yeah, you don't want
the other way, David. What way?
I was going to say to the right, castle king side, but here it is a bit of a mind melter, right?
So having seen a few of Magnus's game from last year's GOAT Chess Challenge, I think he does this really often. When there is a setup, a starting position with the white rook in the corner and the king next to it, instead of finding a way to actually castle, which in freestyle would be king to g1 and king to c1, he just decides to develop the rook from the starting position, which in this case is that a1 square, by pushing that a pawn 2 steps ahead. So the idea was not only to push Hikaru's bishop back to a slightly more passive situation, but also at some point looking at a rook lift. As James Canty would say, do you even rook lift? Magnus loves doing that in freestyle chess.
Can James Canty bench more than all of us combined?
100%.
Almost, yeah, undoubtedly.
I'm at 185.
I know you've been big on the
I'm adding 5 to
recently.
that.
All right, 190. We're at 190 pounds. I feel like David,
1.85, I can.
That's a great suit, by the way. I'm just while we're here waiting. This is free. They're going to think for 20 minutes, so let's just all compliment each other while they.
Yeah, I think that's actually the fashion at these events is going to be something to track all year long as well, right?
That's because the players are being forced to wear those suits. They got zero fashion sense.
Which is great.
We
Not
gotta
all
call
of
it
them.
like it is, except Levon Aronian.
Yeah.
Is beautiful, all right?
And Ali Reza's not here, but I would say Ali Reza might have something to say about it.
Who's our favorite suit color? You were saying Gukesh, right?
It's got to be Gukesh with the red on.
I'm going Fabiano. I love the purple.
Okay.
I love that deep purple.
Danya has looked at no one.
She has no idea.
They got Magnus.
I'm still thinking, will Hikaru take on d3 and play e5?
Oh, and there's your answer.
But I don't mean to be the party pooper who's talking about the math homework while you're talking about your after-school plans.
Somebody has to keep us focused, so I appreciate you for that.
I'm going to the movie theater. I'm going to my friend's house.
Hey.
What'd you get on the test?
Well, they got Magnus in a Cuban Dawn white suit. That's what the ivory. He's going to show up with a cigar. By the way, what is there to think about here? This is actually quite fascinating. You could take 3 different ways and imbalance the game every single way.
Yeah, I mean, my gut obviously says that the rook should slide up. I mean, in essence, we're developing the piece.
Your gut is right.
Let's
One
go.
test.
Your gut is right.
One for me. That's it. I'm going to hang it up here, y'all.
What's your rapid rating again on chess.com?
1,200.
27?
Yeah, 27, yes. Yeah.
There we go. And E5. Danya, you were right.
Starting to get really fun, right? Black's the one that breaks the symmetry and gets that center break in, and there we have their head-to-head, very lopsided.
Wow.
They're 14-1.
This is what they call, no. This is what they call cherry picking. Okay, first of all, they're playing rapid. First of all, this is classical. Over the last years that Hikaru was still a full-time professional player. We need an updated graphic number 1 of Rapid and Blitz, and a second one of this format. Yeah, this was traditional chess. Okay, I'm just going to defend Hikaru here, but yes, 14-1 is.
Hikaru is the reigning Fischer Random World Champion, right? We haven't had that yet, so he had a fantastic performance, and Magnus was playing in that World Championship. And the position we have right now, David, strange things happening. That rook landing on b3, lining up against the king. Hikaru striking in the center. Who's got the opening advantage right now?
I've got to say, I love Magnus's position. We should point out there's a massive threat on the board as well. So we were talking about early knockouts, which don't normally happen in classical chess, which could occur in freestyle. White's bishop, the light squared bishop, if it comes out the whole way, it could be lining up. There's a pin against the pawn in front of the black king. So already Hikaru on the defensive. He needs to get that king just out of the firing line as soon as possible.
A lot of pressure being applied on that side. Of course, there's still a decent amount of tension in the middle of the board as well, with the pawns looking at each other.
Obviously, that move stops what you just described because the rook protects the pawn. The rook was not protecting the square through the pawn, but it defends the pawn itself. So that is good defense, and the position's balanced, which I find absurd.
Yeah, the rules of Chinese chess don't apply. There is no piece that jumps over another other flank.
Now, in so many ways, this goes against kind of my thinking of the principles of chess in terms of pawn structure, because we're now leaving two pawns, kind of isolated behind and in an attackable position.
No, but G4 has two reasons. I would say, and you can disagree because you're much stronger players. Like I actually G4 is less of an attacking move, but more just controlling that whole side of the board, because the black knight on f6 now can't go anywhere, and also the corresponding dark squares next to that pawn are also controlled by white because the bishop is in the center, and that's quite interesting. But I would say the second reason is that if now Hikaru castles the king that way, I already have an attack going. So I actually really like white's position. I don't know, do you think the attack is actually above positional play here?
Oh, yeah, it's difficult, right? I mean, when it comes to Magnus, he likes to keep kind of his options open, so attacking on either flank is a possibility. Who knows? He's just trying to scare Hikaru and make him look both ways, right?
It's really interesting. Another freestyle chess concept. You want to place your knight behind the pawns. This last move of pushing the pawn 2 steps ahead. Now when that kingside knight on g1 slides up to e2 and then lands behind that pawn that's just been moved forward, it's a much healthier square because you're controlling the light squares on f5 and h5 as well. The other thing Magnus mentioned in his interview was that, he very often pushes this flank pawn on the a side in this case. His opponent's king castles the other way, and then he feels like a complete idiot. So I think this is prophylaxis against that as well. If that was to happen, Magnus is ready to strike on the king side as well. Are we picking white or black right now, Daniel?
I mean, I think white is slightly, I would say 0.1, but I mean, I'm probably very wrong. I'm just kidding, of course. To your very important point, there's the concept of like an eject button in Fischer Random that doesn't quite exist in normal chess, which is that you always need to remember that castling, you can move from b8 to g8. It's like the Concorde is back in service. So that's why you kind of need to hedge your bets a little bit more. You need to attack on both flanks. You need to be ready to switch flanks, literally, because the king from b8 could go to g8. But let's be very clear. Which rook is the designated driver of the king side? Like, for Hikaru to put the king on d8 and the rook on c8, this rook has to land on c8. So he's got to move this whole train wreck to the right. That's going to be difficult to arrange. This king is there for quite a while.
I mean, in general, I was going to say it feels like black's position is just so claustrophobic, right? Struggling for options of how to maneuver the pieces, and I don't know if this is an agreement from Hikaru, but pushing that c-pawn forward, kind of piling on the pressure towards the center of the board, maybe looking for a way to open it up and gain some space.
Yeah, I just want to commend Hikaru's last move. We were all kind of saying maybe white's position is easier to play, the plans are more obvious, but Hikaru is being aggressive now. Hikaru is the one with options about where he can castle. He can still castle on both flanks. Magnus is purely only able to castle on the queen side now, so his king is fixed as a target. And black controls the center after all.
I was also just going to say that, I forgot that when David speaks, the camera pans to us. I just looked extremely disinterested, but I was just writing to the producers. I promise I'm not texting or betting on the games or anything like that until we have a partner for the tour. So, I was really shocked by the move c5, but I guess it makes sense because if Hikaru just sat around, he would just get overwhelmed by space and 2 bishops and all the traditional things that apply. And in chess, there's this, you were supposed to be the community stream, but statics versus dynamics in chess. And obviously when, the other opponent has certain advantages, you try to be dynamic. So c5 is a perfect solution. And now he has a lot of space. Good central presence too.
Well, we may be the community stream, but that's the perfect place for us to learn, right? I think very much.
You're welcome.
Yes, thank you. No, that's again. Like, I think I've said it to all of you. I've said it to all of you at some point. One of the things I'm most excited about being involved in this event is to kind of do my best imitation of a sponge and absorb as much information out of all of you as I can to apply to my chess games in the future. So 2 options to take, of course, on that trade in the center of the board on the c5 square, and Hikaru opts for the queen. We'll see that knight developed, of course, to the e2 square that you had mentioned earlier, Tanya, perhaps looking to maneuver behind that g-pawn. And now the bishop develops here for Hikaru towards the center of the board. How dare he
develop a bishop? I mean, from f8 to d6, no. We don't do that here in the cool boys club. But the thing is, even normally, when I see a +1 evaluation or whatever, it can be very difficult to say why. There's different types of +1. There's like, I have the bishop pair and more space. And then there's positions with a very concrete idea that the advantage hinges on. And in this type of chess, like, you could tell me black is much better, you could tell me white is much better. I will believe basically any evaluation within reasonable limits. And so I don't think the players are sitting there thinking, oh yeah, White's playing for the win. This is just survival. Like, I want to survive 2 moves without blundering anything. And Magnus still has that bishop is still on f1. You know, maybe the knight can come to g3 and f5, like Tanya mentioned. Tanya, that knight it needs to be there. I think your positional senses are, screaming for that.
Yeah, we've seen him do this so many times. And I want to also talk about this rivalry in front of us, right? It's sort of like the modern epic rivalry of chess. It's the Federer-Nadal or the Frazier-Muhammad Ali. And then this isn't the only one, because we've got more games going on, guys. We've got world champion Gukesh here. He's playing against a very big rival of his own, Norbek Abdusattorov. That's more like the Alcaraz-Sinner rivalry building up to be a big one as well, James. And I know this is exciting, but should we check in with the world champ, guys?
I think that's a good idea. We'll come back to this one to see how the game continues to develop before anything's decided.
But I'm go-karting. It's like I thought I was behind the wheel, but I'm turning the wheel. Nothing's happening. So.
But yeah, perhaps we can.
Aronian actually just night.
Whoa!
The game is over.
Oh, a huge blunder. Yeah, the game is finished in Levon's game. But okay, we have Norbek. We're jumping ahead because we have more screens than the fans at home. Wow, look at this position between Gukesh and Norbek. What is going on?
What on earth?
What is this?
We've got a king on b2 on one side. We castled the king to the other side.
Looks like dominoes. You just throw them all down one by one and just... wow.
Yeah, completely open A file. The rooks are stacked. The rooks are stacked for both players, in fact.
I like how Gukesh just played a move, undermining the king side traditionally, and the center to build up the attack on the queen side. Like, this is how this is going. This is a very interesting move.
Levy, this position, you look at it, and it actually looks like a standard 5-1-8 position for black, right? You've got your king castled up. You put this incredible attack on the left side of the board where White's king is still stuck. The lines are all open. This has got to be a domination by Gukesh in this position. Is Norbek suffering right now?
Well, we shouldn't forget to count.
Oh, yes.
Norbek does have an extra pawn. I don't know how much that is worth right now.
I didn't even realize that, David.
That's always the first thing I do in every position, Tanya, especially a weird freestyle position like this.
So materialistic.
I know.
Hikaru's counting Norbek's pawns.
Yeah. I guess, all the games are spicy. We already saw basically a fatal mistake between, and we are spoiling in the game between Levon and Firouzja. We should likely throw up, first of all, just ourselves, and second of all, this position between, there we go, like I love how all the pieces teleported, because in every game they are completely differently placed. Yeah, Hikaru's got his queen restricted on the edge of the board. Is Magnus bringing out the second rook?
Oh, I think he's getting ready, right? I did predict, I'm going to take credit now, I did predict Magnus would never castle this game. So if he brings his other rook up, his king is fixed, he loves it in the corner anyway. Look at that black queen.
I just want to say, that's a first. David Howell never takes credit for anything.
Yep.
We have just made...
I'm rubbing off on him, you know. It's,
We're entering a new era of David Howell.
Arrogant David.
At the end of this week, guys.
Get that ego in check.
Look what trip to Weissenhaus is doing to David. Different person.
How well do you know him?
And so it begins.
Wow, look at this.
I wasn't the one who started it.
How about this, though? We're firing out a couple moves here.
I want to say Hikaru is like the youngest looking 37-year-old I've ever seen in my life. Like, it's like incredible. He shaves before the tournament, and I'm like, oh, it's like a college kid. By the end of the tournament, he looks like, he went through House of the Dragon or something. But he's always got the swagger. He's got the ring. Always a lip scratch, making a move very suave. They got him in a nice jacket as well.
There's that little hand thing. I don't even know how to describe that, but that weird finger moving thing.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I
don't know if it's after he moves or after he makes a move he thinks is good. Like Kasparov used to screw in the pieces.
Yeah.
Which, I much prefer Hikaru's motion. You got to signal that you're making a good move.
Yeah. And I think Magnus just signaled he's made a pretty cool move. That queen that just slid all the way to e1 is eyeing that b4 square in front of that rook on the b line to start targeting the black king on that same file. It's a very flexible option because you can place it on c3 adjacent to the white rook or right in front of it. I'm liking the way Magnus is trying to build play against Hikaru's king here.
And Hikaru has the dilemma. I think he's just wondering where to castle, what to do with his king. He's delayed it so long.
But he cannot castle here, right? It's elite. Like the rook on d8.
It hasn't moved.
So what has
He
to happen?
could. He could
No,
castle.
he can castle.
King side.
Yeah,
Yes.
all the way. Put that king on g8 and put that rook on d8 to f8.
Yes. Black can still castle to the right and
To the,
Either way.
both sides.
To the far east. You can castle to the far east or to the near east.
King to g.
Yeah, but Magnus cannot castle his king all the way to the right because his rook went up and over.
Yeah.
So Magnus could play like triple zero, which would move his king over one square and the rook where the queen was. And maybe that is what he's setting up, by the way. I mean, that could be it.
Or he could think about doing the rook lift and then developing it all the way, David, through a4. Are we going to see a castle in this game? What do you think?
Check button.
Rook a4, g5, rook h4.
Oh my gosh.
Love it.
And that's why
on the
Magnus
wrong
put the pawn on, like when I said about being prepared to attack on both flanks, he put that pawn on g4 and the knight on g3. It's like he built the foundation for the house. And now he's like, I got the launch pad, and I'm coming after you
Now
no
I
matter
got
where you. I'll find you.
Heated tiles in the
any
toilet.
continent.
He's got-
But really, rook a4, rook h4, and bishop d3,
And-
incredible.
And rook a4, rook b4, doubling down, tripling down maybe on that b pawn. And I know I brought this question up a while ago. And he stops it. He takes control of the b square. g5, Ravi, on the board. We might be seeing your idea.
We might, but I mean, not now. Rook a4 now would not be smart. You would get forked.
And with rook a4.
Okay, bishop h3, yeah, that makes sense. He's going to take and play rook a4, rook h4. So that might be-
c5, rook b6, yeah.
Yeah.
But that rook right there is, I mean, that rook will be screwed in for a while. Oh, and you can't castle with the bishop on h3. c8 squared, that still applies. King can't go through check at all.
You could do it now, but you'd lose the d7 knight after bishop h3.
Yeah, and if you move it, then you can't castle
You
at
can't do
all.
Fantastic.
I mean, tomato, tomato.
Okay, same
Less
question,
evil.
guys. Same question. Are we picking white or black here? Now. Levi, I'll start with you.
For winning chances?
Who's pushing here?
I mean, probably still white, right? Not just because it's Magnus, but because I don't exactly see a plan for black. Like, it feels like any move black makes forward into white's position, it's going to be a bad move.
Maybe king c7, rook like some kind of manual castle.
Yeah, maybe. But
So look at the clock. Hikaru is under 2 minutes. He's been thinking now for ages. And I mean, if it comes down to a time scramble, it doesn't even matter who's objectively better, right?
The goalkeeper needs to come out to kick the corner. Like all hands on deck, king c7, rook c8.
perfect country to do it. Neuer used to run out the full pitch. So we got to,
14-1 was the Brazil-Germany score.
But that queen's just come out. It's eyeing the a5 pawn right now, defended by two majors that white has, that queen on e1 and the rook on a1. I also want to point out the g7 tender spot that's there for Hikaru, right? And white's knight, if it jumps in, which it just has, you've got to watch out. And you know, Daniel, you can also think about grabbing that d7 knight and planting your own knight to that f6 square if a g-pawn was to move one step ahead. I think that's a
Takes
big
knight
pressure.
f6. He's only got 2 minor pieces left, putting themselves to full use, Levy.
I'm going to go a little bit meta here and say that Hikaru has talked about the fact that as he's getting on, he's talked about the fact that he's getting older for a while, but like especially recently after the World Rapid and Blitz, he hasn't been as sharp in over-the-board time scrambles. And he's about to have a minute versus 3 and 47 seconds. And this is just about the worst player to probably be in a time scramble with. So we could see him get into a significant disadvantage in the next 5-6 moves because he just doesn't have time.
I like you getting meta, but you're invading my space.
Oh, wow.
No, but
Danya, pun count. We need one.
I'm a marked man.
Yeah, 40 seconds on the clock here for Hikaru. Obviously, we do have increment. So as long as moves are made, he'll be okay.
Queen A7
Yeah,
is
bringing the
5
queen back to defend.
Not a happy retreat.
Yeah, but the best move?
Maybe the only one.
Yeah, straight up the best move, by the way. Knight c5, and it's crazy. I mean, it's...
Yeah, Hikaru has this incredible ability to find the absolute best move in a position, even with little time on the clock, and he does it over and over again. So he's the most resourceful player in the chess world, the hardest to beat, the trickiest, really.
Except the guy against he's playing. Like, I mean, probably the only player to do it better is... It's true. Like, even Magnus, really resourceful defender. But, yeah, that's how you get good. I mean, it's amazing. And we'll see if Magnus can get...
Does Hikaru save this one?
I mean...
I think not.
Yeah,
I think
probably
it's
not.
the clock. I think it's going to cause a blunder later on. Magnus, he's going to pause. He always does this just before he senses the flurry coming, like the hands, the bashing of the clock. He pauses and then speeds up. So he kind of keeps his opponent's heart rate going up and down.
Queen c3, very tempting to threaten the knight on c6, but Magnus has this extra. He just slow down, look for the best move, and he'll often find the counterintuitive, but maybe he'll go to g3, and he'll throw his opponent this wrinkle.
Do you allow the black knight that the bishop is targeting right now do you just let it move? I mean, like, your bishop's fantastic, but if that knight goes to c5 and then black starts unwinding
It's coming.
I don't know.
How do you even stop that idea of that knight getting active and hitting that white rook?
You take it, but maybe you basically are like, I don't care. Like, I don't care if the knight is on c5. And also, like, what do you do with your center pawns? Do you play f4? Like, just to keep the tension?
He's going to lift the other rook.
I mean, on d3, knight on d7.
David knows
Mexican
Magnus
stand up.
best.
Bishop d7. Oh, okay. He played f4. That's what I said. I mean, it's just a move. Like, it doesn't do anything special. It's just like making black think.
It's a little massage on the dark.
Yeah.
Before queen c3 will attack g7, like just letting you know.
Taking that back, I think Levy knows Magnus best and not David. After all the millions of videos, Levy knows his mind.
Parasocial relationship, and David has a personal relationship. You know, so which one is more impactful? You know,
We can swap.
Yeah. Knight c5. Oh,
Yeah, there we go.
draw. Knight d7.
Ooh, a repetition. I think then he takes.
Oh, yeah.
Then he definitely takes.
Wow.
Oof, brave.
Ooh.
It's on the precipice.
And tucking the king away there on a7. I mean, it just feels like a full defensive mode here for Hikaru.
King a7 is an aggressive move. No.
Now maybe time to bring
Yeah,
that
like-
other rook is like, I want to get in the party too.
I would say he has been, but suddenly he's sensing that Magnus kind of doesn't have a plan. You know.
Yeah, notice how the two knights are controlling the squares on the b file for Magnus's rook. It doesn't have an easy path to double down on that. We see some trades in the center, so Magnus trying to resolve the tension there. And Hikaru slows down. He does pick it up with his knight. Is it time to get the queen into the party? Do you jump in with your queen just yet?
Oh, yeah, queen b4, like rook takes a6, queen b6 becomes a pattern.
Oof.
trapped
He's reaching up. Yes, David.
Oh, he's trapped his own rook though. What happens if the black knight comes hunting? If knight to c4, there's some tricks.
Wait, what did he play?
Queen
Queen
to
b4.
Before it just didn't update yet.
Yeah. Now it's on.
Knight to c4, you can maybe leave the rook on b6, go like sack rook a3, sack the other exchange.
Something's about to happen to that black king.
You can feel it. It's in the air. With the majors there, the bishop lined up on that diagonal.
It's messy.
Ooh, and something has happened.
Wow, what a sack. Well, not a sack.
I think 7.
Temporary.
Half a move.
But the bar hasn't moved at all.
Queen takes c5, and then you can't go back to d7 because of that bishop.
So knight c6, counterattacking the queen.
Goes back. He's going to go back to c3. Defend that knight. Keep an eye on the c5 knight as well.
then
But then knight e4.
Even queen a3.
Yeah, I like queen a3 more.
I think queen c3 might walk into that knight jump to the center of the board. So it might be the best move to retreat to the other side.
Or d4 and like rook takes and rook d1 check. Like suddenly you're under some.
Hikaru's like in Star Wars when they take.
Wow, there it is.
There it is.
Oh my god, this is crazy.
Is this turning around? Is Hikaru back?
Wait, can white castle if there's a rook on d4?
Yes, as long as you don't castle through check.
Oh, so
Magnus Castle?
Yeah,
yes,
king to
ed rook d4
Which
long castle, and you offer a rook trade. Oh, but then your king is in the center. Oh my god.
Legal because d1 is covered.
As long as your king doesn't go through check. That's the key.
It will be here king
Oh yeah,
to
yeah.
c1
The
and
king is
rook to
going to e1 and
d1.
goes
Yeah.
to c1. Sorry, I forgot the rules of chess.
So the long-
That's why I was distracted in players' meeting. I was playing Blitz.
So white can castle here.
The shortest long castle ever. Put that king on c1 and the rook on d1.
Probably a terrible move, but it'll be super cool, right?
Yeah. Also, rook a4 is an idea. It's crazy.
Oh, now rook d1 check.
Hikaru under a
Two.
minute.
The rook can go the other way. Or, oh, yeah, which
Who's
way?
getting attacked?
Yeah.
And suddenly Hikaru's
Still
complete
equal.
he's put a full stop on Magnus's attack, right? With the knight so close to the black king, defending it beautifully. Hikaru's getting aggressive with every move.
I get it. Well, queen e3. I mean, still feels to me like something's going to give eventually. Oh, whoa!
Yeah.
Wow. To c7 he goes.
Yeah.
Do you care about the a5 pawn at all, which is being attacked by two of Hikaru's pieces, the knight and the rook?
That's a great question.
It might disappear soon.
Rook takes a1, king takes a1, knight takes a5, no? I mean, it's a free pawn, but I guess it's just not good somehow.
Nervous.
That's the big
clock there.
question.
It'll just
Yeah.
restore the material balance. He is a pawn down, Hikaru. Magnus grabbed one earlier, so. Oh, the queen's coming.
Opting instead just to trade the rooks on the a file.
Oh, whoa! Queen
That
T-
last move.
Wait, there's a potential discovered check, like queen e3, queen g1 maybe hit that knight?
Yeah, I think you go queen g1, you just defend everything and you have this really aggressive plan to hit the king.
Queen g1, knight takes a5, and then rook d6 and b4.
That's winning for white, yeah.
No, too much fireworks going on.
Yeah, queen g1's got to be the winning move.
Line up the queen against the black king on that diagonal. And then you're looking at the pins and discover checks. Is Magnus, he still hasn't made the move though. He's touching the 1 minute mark. And let's remind everyone, 10 seconds get added with every move.
But that's just straightforward, and we will get arrows shortly.
There it is.
There
That's
it is.
it.
Yeah, that's
Beautiful retreat.
He's just winning.
Oh, but Queen D5.
Is B4 absolutely nuts here?
Queen E5 check. No, before you probably have to play. Like, it's probably just winning on the spot.
It's either winning on the spot or losing on the spot, one of the two.
Yeah, but there's only one check. Queen E5, King B1. Okay, like Knight A4, Rook B5 check. Like and you just win the queen.
He's calculating it.
Or Rook A6, double check, King A6, Queen B6 mate. Like depending on where the
knight is.
Like Knight E4, I was about to suggest, and then it might be the only move.
Oh my god.
Yeah, Knight E4,
Magnus?
Rook A6.
But sometimes he gets he had this huge time cushion, and sometimes psychologically now the time equalizes, and you feel like you're in bigger time pressure.
Daniel, are we going to see B4?
Yes.
Let me try to get my prediction before he plays it. Oh, too late.
And it's a bad move.
No, it's good, it's fine. Our bar is just delayed, which is confusing. Now Knight E4, Rook takes A6, double check, and King A6, Queen B6 mate. What an amazing thing.
I don't see a move. Okay, that's a stall. That's like you go to grad school. Okay, now what?
Oh,
Yeah.
Magnus is going to play Queen D5, King A3.
Or B1, yeah.
Yeah, but A3.
Queen F3.
Okay, repeat once.
Looks like the clock won't play a factor, actually. I think it's just beyond that point for Hikaru. The time won't save him. Magnus admits to getting nervous these days a bit over the board in time scrambles compared to how he used to be, but it just looks like it's too late for Hikaru, who's going to gamble.
Whoa,
Gives up
Queen
a knight.
C5, Knight takes B4 is still...
So tricky.
It's like a Title Tuesday trick, but Queen takes B4, Rook C2, King B1. He takes Magnus as like no calculation. Give me Knight.
Much safer.
Give me
That
Knight.
is a fork, by the way. The bishop is hanging.
I didn't like BC at all by Magnus.
And now it gets a bit tricky, right? Because you've got this threat on the A pawn coming in with check. The black queen looks a bit dangerously close to Magnus's king. David?
Bring the rook back. Good move. His king's going to go up the board. I think Levy predicted it.
King A3.
Small
Knight takes-
breath of life, though, here for
Yeah.
Hikaru with some counterattack.
Whoa.
What is he nodding at?
Yeah, did you see that? It's the nod that, hey, I'm back in this game. There are some tricks that you got to handle. That's the message.
It's still it's the invisible music that.
And apparently that's a mistake.
Knight
And
takes A5, C6 check, King where?
King whacking B8.
maybe just
Yeah, we push the pawn for check here.
She
King
does
slides
more
back.
Oh, B6 as well. You're right.
B8, absolutely.
King
Rook
B8.
takes B7, Knight takes B7. Anyone's game. Oh, Magnus is. He's down on time. How?
Check. Stops.
wow, incredible.
Anyone's game.
What a game.
He's down a piece, but Magnus's bishop on H3 not playing a role.
B1.
It's all about that white king, right? This is what happens when you allow the queen and the knight to combine and do a bit of a dance against your king.
You can go Queen B1, B5, B4. Like just this is the degenerate chess I really love. I'm in my element, you know.
There's
Well,
Queen B1.
and maybe you,
Step one.
Wait a sec. Queen
Okay.
takes C7 almost works. It's a draw, I think. Queen takes C7, CB, Knight D6. Yeah, anyways.
Wow.
Perpetual.
He's reaching for the knight. I don't think he's about to take the rook. And he comes back to defend his own king. Get that knight close to the king.
B5.
Oh, what a move.
I just what I'm
All
saying.
hands on deck.
B5 is insane. Queen D6. Like this is how the game is gonna go.
That was the nod of
D-
head.
Queen D6,
Hikaru had
E4
calculated
anyway,
10
Queen
moves
takes
ahead.
It's like the Gukesh thing that he did, right? When Ding blundered.
Oh, guys,
Subtle motion.
B5, Queen D6, B4, Queen B4, Queen A1 mate.
Well, Queen B4 is a
Queen
check.
B4.
Oh, Queen B4 is check. Oh, David said it. We're all mic'd up.
20 seconds. So then what do you do? B5, Queen D6, you're absolutely right. That's the problem.
Oh, man.
So that nod is Queen A1 check is always a move.
Oh, that's
down below 20 seconds. Hikaru makes a move. He's going to go for B6.
That's not the most aggressive move in the position for sure.
Oh, Queen D6. What's wrong with Queen D6 here? It's Queen A1 and Queen B2 zigzag.
Hikaru reacts.
oh no, Queen D6, not like some Knight B7, and you have like Queen A1, Queen C3.
He does
There it is.
We're going to find out. Hikaru will find his way. He's down to 20 seconds.
Knight B7 is so heinous.
White is threatening a check on the back
Queen takes
rank.
rook. Queen takes rook. Yeah.
King takes.
Yeah.
It was still a game there.
What's the move here, David? For Hikaru, what does he have to find?
And he's got 10
I'm not
seconds.
sure any move. A check.
Wow.
A1, King B4.
There we go.
And the problem with Knight B7, Queen C7, you can sack the queen here.
Or
And
you
you just-
deliver a check on F8.
Yeah,
And Knight B5, Rook A3. Queen F8, Knight B5, Rook A3.
Is that just winning?
When the
And there it is.
Magnus, it's a handshake.
And that's it.
Wow.
What a crazy game and a crazy finish. You take that knight, you lose your queen.
Every
That was
square is filled
monstrous.
on the king. Look, there's a piece on every square there. It's like
Sudoku.
tic-tac-toe. Okay, you chose the more sophisticated.
Yeah, we end the game with a brilliant. I wish our board was showing it, and it's an amazing win for Magnus.
Yeah, what a fascinating endgame there. Just in terms of, obviously, we had the benefit of seeing the evaluation bar. A couple opportunities with a breath of new life there for Hikaru. At a moment there, David, it almost looked like Magnus had spread himself too thin by kind of getting pieces on both sides of the board, and where he had some attacking chances earlier. Perhaps he was going to give Hikaru a way back in, but in the end, he finds a way to finish it.
Yeah, in the end, momentum shifts all over the place. But Magnus, with that extra time, I think initially just held his nerve a bit better. Hikaru going down. We will break that one down later, but in the meantime, still 3 games underway.
Exactly. You can see there in the top right, Firouzja Aronian also complete as of yet, and so we have 3 more matches that we can peek into. Anyone got one that they want to dive into?
We gotta go to Gukesh.
We gotta go to Gukesh. It's the end game, and it does appear that Nottingham he doesn't have a rook on the board. It's too far for me to see, but let's do a deep dive into it. It's an exchange.
Yeah, it's king, 2 knights, and 3 pawns for Gukesh, and a king, a rook, and a knight, and 0 pawns.
Ooh.
Okay, no, yeah.
Or
it's like
the other way. The other way.
Game.
Sorry, the other way. Nozirbek is the one with the knights, and Gukesh is the one with no pawns.
Does this give you their vibes of their like endgame and Tata Steel? It's like weird. It wasn't exactly the same, but very similar.
Very similar. But in the meantime, I think normal circumstances, Gukesh cannot really win. His lack of pawns, it feels like he's fighting for the draw. But it should be getting close now. Neither side has enough checkmating material. If all the pawns disappear, a draw almost guaranteed.
Yeah, it's kind of wicked. Black can trade a rook and a knight for just 3 pawns, and the game is a draw. Like, this is so messed up. That and now you can just take 1. Knight takes b4. And then you can just go sacrifice your pieces for the other.
Assign like a defender to each one. You take that one, I'll take that one.
Yeah,
and you can. The greatest thing is you can just give up a piece.
Yeah, which is in case anybody doesn't know, king and 2 knights, you cannot win unless the opponent tries to lose.
Yeah, you have to play into your hands.
Yes.
Makes 0 sense, right? You have 2 extra knights, you've done all the hard work, and you still cannot win. But it looks likely that might be the end of this game.
It makes even less sense that 1 pawn for the opponent added will give you winning chances. But we won't. This is a community stream, all right? This is not the legend stream.
Oh, you got the check on the board, and Nottingham, he's always trying to find ideas, trying to trick his opponent. He's always hungry for a win, and he's looking for ways to combine those 2 knights with the 2G and the H pawn. They're still alive. So does Gukesh still need to be careful? Because
absolutely.
That pawn gets on G6, the H pawn arrives on H6, and
Nottingham, he tries to find chances everywhere.
Yeah.
He just fights and fights, and sometimes he overpresses. Don't remember too many examples. Sometimes it like works to perfection, and this is ambition. This is what we sign up to see. And look at there are some mates there. Knight f5, knight e7.
Knight f5, knight e7, H pawn joining the party. I think this is still dangerous for the world champion. For Gukesh, he has to be very careful. Notice how the c6 square right now is controlled by that white center knight, so you don't have a check there.
Yeah.
We're kind of looking at 2 different positions on the screen.
And the third one.
We're looking bottom right for the
Bottom right
position.
is the current position, it looks like.
There we go. And white's pieces are a bit loose though. The knights aren't anchored. They aren't on outposts, not protected by pawns. So Nottingham, I could see a world in which he takes a bit too much risk and blunders something himself, giving some checks now. But as we say, fighting, trying to eke out a win here.
Well, the real question is, will Gukesh try to repeat, right? I mean,
H8, F8.
Yeah.
Yeah, we know Gukesh isn't a fan of repetitions, though.
Good.
That's yeah.
But he is inviting it.
This is a draw for, knight f7, of course.
Yeah, this isn't going to be one of those cases where he declines the repetition. I think that might be just too much.
Knight d4 to f7. Do we get one illegal move in freestyle? Just like nope.
Nottingham playing for the win.
Yeah.
He doesn't go for the check.
I love it.
I can relate. Yeah.
Nojibek is a gangster. Yesterday, the players were discussing a rule change in the technical meeting, and he was just shaking his head and cracking up to himself. Like he was the only one who was objecting to it. It was 1 second bonus on move 60 of the Armageddon. He just didn't want it. He just wanted to fight to the death. And I was like, my man, that is what we call an Uzbek tiger. What a beast. And both of these guys is awesome. They want to play for a win. I'm not sure this position quite justifies it. I think the guy with the pawns is going to only has the winning chances, but there we go. Knight g7 ideas, like block any check. It's It's crazy.
White's making. There's an illusion of progress.
Yes.
But it is. I think it's still an illusion for now. Like rook g8. What's wrong with rook g8 check?
Knight g7.
Of course, it's a
A pass. But knight g7, maybe like rook f8.
I mean, what do you want me to do?
White
Not
get
play for a win? I mean, I mean, what do
Actually, yes. White could get mated. Like knight f5, g5,
knight f4.
But again, look at the clock. Gukashi's
We laugh,
moves for
but-
5 seconds.
Ooh, yeah, let's show that.
You know who won't be laughing?
Load.
Oh wait, this has happened.
Yeah.
So show the idea. You got to show it. Rook
I
f8.
haven't passed my proverbial driver's license.
Oh.
I actually have.
Rook f8 played?
Done in rook f8.
g5, knight f4.
G5 is checkmate in one.
Yeah, but this assumes that Noterbeck will miss mate in one, which is a rare occurrence.
Well, anything
I
in
think
G5
I don't know if it's ever happened.
Yeah.
He set it up though. He's taken away some squares from the white king.
Okay. A knight move has been made. There will be no mate in one, sadly.
But knight f4, he's got only move. David?
Yeah, and the
it
board
fun?
again, there's
Let's refresh
things we could do here.
the big board, but we have the small board.
My bad. Let's see. No, it's not my bad.
There we go.
Or no.
Live position.
I might be able to. Yeah, okay.
I really wish you could play rook takes h6 here, but you can't.
I have a feeling.
Now you can. Rook
We-
You
h6.
can, and
Not-
knight
not-
f6. Oh.
Ooh, what is happening here? I have a feeling we're still in for some turns and twists in this game. It's not over yet, the drama in this one.
Rook g6.
Rook g6, yeah.
It's such a precarious.
G6, knight h4, still no mate. Unfortunately.
Knight f. I mean, there's so many ways to eliminate these two pawns.
Yeah, knight h4, knight f6 takes, you take both pawns, and then you play for a win, maybe. Okay, it's obviously a draw, but.
Oh, that's a forcing line. That's a really nice spot, actually.
Yeah, knight
Let me
h4.
see if I can actually. We'll start with an arrow, but no.
So the knight goes back right now, attacking the rook from the h4 square, and then Levy's idea of just giving up the knight from f6, disconnecting the two pawns.
It's a draw. Knight h4, you can even play rook h6. Pawn takes knight f6, king g5, knight e4.
Levy, we get it. You found one fancy way of doing it.
I want two. Like,
I see a third.
Yeah, you see it? What's the third? What's the third?
Knight f4 and then rook takes h6.
Right, yeah. You can take all my pieces. It doesn't really matter.
Another one
98. I think 98 could be tried actually.
Oh, 98
Has
does
some
keep the
teeth
game
actually. I'm like trying to find the clean force draw for 98, and I can't quite. I mean, I'm also just trying to give up the knight and the rook. Maybe I should try like playing a move that doesn't sack the knight.
Point is, if Gukesh finds a way to lose, it's more impressive than all of us. So I don't think it's that simple to make a draw. But we're not sitting
Not
inside.
really good under pressure though. It's like, I mean, maybe he should try the world championship, but I don't think he's ready yet.
no.
Oh,
That's the
wait a
clock
second.
situation that I'm a bit worried about. We're just under 20 seconds. So many knights on the board. You can walk into a fork so easily. Allow that g-pawn one step forward. Big trouble. So the defensive task isn't over for Gukesh.
Just feels like Abdu Satarov's trying to set the tone for his own tournament. He knows this is going to be a draw no matter what, most likely, and he just wants to play himself into form. Often having a long game at the beginning of a long day is the best way to warm up.
Oh, that's epic. What a move. Yeah, I was actually about to say you can sack the knight and play rook h6, just like you said. You like, I can sack the rook.
And
Yeah,
this
this
is playing into the idea you talked about, right? Happy to trade both minor pieces
Yes.
as long as I get both pawns off the board.
He's going to sacrifice. If knight takes knight, rook takes h6, you give up. And
You know, it's like it's like good hotels take care of all the small things. Gukesh, he draws with grace.
But Noterbeck, he's so desperate to keep the game going. He doesn't pick up that knight. He instead moves the king. So at least it's on. The fight is still on.
He
By the way,
didn't-
the other is Big Tiger. I can just spot him from our room. He's walking around still some time in the middle of the two games.
White's not winning. The White can't even
Shove a
give a
cue
check
there.
in 3 moves. Like, how do you?
I wouldn't say he's desperate to let's say, but yeah, he's just annoying Gukesh. I mean, I think this is actually like a very intense rivalry. They just don't talk about it that much. I mean, right? They played at 2 Olympiads. They've played in Tata. Like, I think Noterbeck really wants to beat Gukesh.
All the time.
He
And
did
that's
right at the
same
Olympiad to
with Gukesh.
stop his streak.
Yeah.
That's where it started. That's where the rivalry started. 22 Chennai Olympiad, and that's the win that decided the podium finish.
Yeah, we need to get both these guys on camera saying that at least 20% of the stuff Hans Niemann says, and they will be superstars. Like like Gukesh needs to get on. I mean, I really hate this guy. He's always like playing on against me. He doesn't respect me. Noterbeck, I just want to beat him. But no, they're very respectful. They stick to the chess, and okay, maybe we will get a checkmate. There it is.
There it is.
Sacrificing everything.
Like King G4.
Woo!
No.
Now, is
You
this?
blame a draw? Yeah,
Wait.
you can. I have a story about.
Is Noterbeck going to play this for the 50
But I had a
rule?
moment in the World Team Championship. Next to me, Alexander Onishuk was playing his GM, and he was like, he asked his opponent, "Is this a draw?" And like,
Wait.
it was Knight Bishop. No, they have to stop the clock. This is a draw.
Wait, did you see that? Gukesh just looked at him. He was like, "What? Are we really doing this?"
What he's gonna do is he's gonna wait for Gukesh to call the arbiter.
No, but I'm
it's sort
sorry.
of like this power.
But if you
What
get
are they
this on,
doing?
wait, if you
There's
get
no
this
way
on,
to win.
if you get this on chess.com, the game ends
Automatically. After 50
But
moves,
is it
right? Not
possible
instantly.
to cooperate? Like, can you set up a mate with cooperation? I actually don't know.
Yeah, like let's say let's say it was the last round of a tournament and you needed someone to win, so you just like lost on purpose.
But they're not calling the arbiter. I mean,
No, I don't
Gukesh
think
is the
there
one
is.
who has to do it.
But
He's
is there
the
a
one playing for the-
hypothetical way to lose this? I actually don't know the answer to that question. I guess no, because...
You mean if you walk into a one-move checkmate?
Yeah,
You'll
but
always have an option.
Like knight versus bishop, you can do that. Has been some major arguments.
There is a way you can lose, but you
Okay, it's a draw. It's a draw.
Thank God.
No, but this is no, but this is
What a
unbelievable.
rivalry.
Kind of
Love
feel
it,
the collective
love it.
panic in the room there
Every
around
time
why are we
they
still
play.
playing?
Drama.
So confident, like I have found the win in knight versus knight.
Right? Yeah. He must know something we don't.
And did you see Abdul Safarov? He just marched off. He didn't even set the pieces up. He stormed out of his net. He was not
Almost
happy
one
with
knight
the draw.
and knight versus king.
And there we've got Gukesh. He's doing it for Nodibek right now. Regardless of what the result is, this is Gukesh every single game of his life. Wins, loses at any stage, he always sets the pieces before he leaves.
This is also great PR, right? Like, because you already know the Chess Base India clip is going to be legendary. It's going to be like, tough game for Gukesh. Opponent storms off. Gukesh, what a gentleman. Always setting up the pieces. I love that about him, by the way. He's probably like the nicest of the next generation. He's like very humble, very, very nice. But you see Nordberg just like wants to kill. I mean, it's crazy. I don't know who made him upset, but
Well, I don't want to read into it too much, but to me it indicates that he felt he had winning chances there, and perhaps let those winning chances go, and so maybe some frustration in ending up with a draw.
Yeah. Or maybe he's just being practical. It is freestyle chess. You don't know how the next game is going to be set up, so why set up the pieces in the first place?
That's a very good point.
that's very clever. And you definitely don't remember the starting position of that game. No. So
Yeah, dear Lord, if I put a board in front of any of you and asked
They're
you to do
over.
it,
All the games, bases are loaded.
and there we have it, all the handshakes.
okay.
They got it.
So round one complete here into our round robin. We've got 8 more rounds to go. I mean, what a fabulous start. We had some wins, we had some draws. I mean,